community work is really the glue that binds society together. It's the backbone of society, and we've seen that firsthand during COVID.
Hi everyone, I am Char, CEO of Full Circle Docklands, and you are watching Forward Focus. Today I am joined by
Moestak.
Thank you for joining us, Moestak. So, who do you work for and what do you do?
So I work at Bristol City Council, and my background is community development, and I've been doing community development work about 18 years now. And I've been in various roles, been 8 years at the council. Initially joined delivering some work for the Home Office on counter-extremism and counter-terrorism, and I progressed into other community safety work, and I'm currently working in the Public Health and Communities Division.
What do you think is one of the biggest challenges faced in our community today?
Wow. Lots of different challenges, but I would say the biggest one, the most obvious, inequalities. Inequalities deeply rooted in our communities, particularly if we're talking about where we are right now, inner city, St. Paul's, Eastern, Lawrence Hill. We are some of the most deprived wards in the UK. And it's one of the biggest challenges that we face nationally, but also in Bristol. Bristol's a very wealthy city, but it also has pockets of deprivation and low socioeconomic status that drives a lot of inequalities in the city, and that creates inequity. It drives segregation. We're talking about even things like new development in this area. The long-standing black community in St. Paul's have just been pushed to the fringes because of gentrification. So those are kind of really the challenges, and that then spirals into different issues and different things that come out from that, such as unemployment and displacement and disproportionality, whether it's criminal justice or whether it's stop and search or whether it's exclusions, school exclusions. It's just a community that's long-standing, don't really recognise where they are anymore, and they're not part of even being able to buy local coffee or a loaf of bread in the local neighbourhood because the price has been increased. But we're also talking about, inflation currently. We're talking about, cost of living at the moment. So a lot of challenges that we see communities facing at the moment.
So what do you think the solution is to the challenges we face?
Well, one of the things we do, for example, is even some of the work we deliver here is the warm spaces hubs and kind of creating community hubs, that grassroots work, strengthening that. Community work is really the glue that binds society together. It's the backbone of society, and we've seen that firsthand during COVID. What happened during COVID-19 was that, those at the highest level of society were, in their high towers, and, but those who were at the bottom of the society, in the lowest kind of demographics, were really out there, really supporting each other, cooking meals, delivering food to each other, medicine. I'm talking about cohesion. It's about, being there for one another, and just supporting each other. And I think that functioning of community hubs and spaces is so important. It's one of the key solutions to drive thriving communities and create better society, safeguard young people. And so I think the solution really is about grassroots, mobilising grassroots networks and assets, and building cohesive communities and helping people to strive to be better. I think the word is called collective efficiency. When people come together and gather together, you're more likely to stamp out local issues, whether it be antisocial behaviour, whether it be hate crime, whether it be any kind of issues that affect communities. So, and that's really the work that I do in the council. That's my bread and butter. But I think local community hub functioning, grassroots work, that bottom-up approach, asset-based community development, which is all about recognising the local assets in neighbourhoods, it's buildings, it's people, it's religion, it's faith, it's culture, it's, it can even be music.
So what would your hopes be for the young people in our community?
My hopes would be for them to, for our young people to be financially literate. And what I mean by that is to have entrepreneurship spirit in them. And I think, I mentioned to you wanting to, brand and bottle up the work and the ideas that I have, that so many of us have, and sell it, and not even sell it, but pay your worth, as you said, get your worth. I want young people to understand even things like what credit check and find, what that means, and how that can either benefit you at some point or hinder you as well, because we know a lot of people that are in debt when they take on too much credits and too much, so we want to be able to create that financial literacy. It's going to be hard for a lot of young people in the future to be able to step up, because that gap in inequalities have been with the current austerity and the policies in the government, 14 years of conservative government. It's important that we instill that in our young people, because we need to be 10 steps ahead. It's difficult for even a lot of affluent young people to even go on the property ladder, get into business at the moment, get the right credits that they need for them to get the loan to be able to secure a business, and that is because of that austerity that we're living in. So I do worry about that gap that's now been widened, which partly I think has been done deliberately anyway. But it's okay. We got the skills. We can, strive. And like you said earlier, our culture is so rich. Lots of people want part of that. Lots of people want the ideas that we have, and the talent and skills is so rich in our community. So I want to create a lot of entrepreneur mind. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but the mindset of little moguls, like the work you do. Young people in creative arts at the moment, that industry at the moment is not even representative of our communities either. It's not. But yet they want us to be acting as the bad boy, as the drug dealer, and but we need to be behind the screen.
I was just about to say that our young people need to realise, that they are so much more than the stereotype. You do not have to be the gangster rapper, the one out on the streets being bad. Like, when we kind of live in a deaf culture, to be honest, where being bad and promoting death and violence is cool, and it's in the music, it's in even the clothing that's being promoted out there, it's on the movies. And I'm not saying that it's because of that why they act a certain way or why they are engaged in certain activities out on the streets, but it all plays a part into shaping their young minds and influencing them as to what they think they can be. So I totally agree with you on that. We need more young people having an entrepreneurship mindset, having a success mindset, and having the mindset to know that anything you put your mind to, you can do. I feel like their aspirations level, or what they believe they could be, is very limited.
Yeah, I think it's important to have positive aspirations and affirmative kind of words spoken into young people. Positive affirmations is kind of like, you are a queen, you're a king, you're going to make it in life, you are blessed, you are chosen, you are, all those words is something that is so important. It does something to you, doesn't it?
It does. And also people misunderstand or don't fully appreciate the power of words, and I feel like sometimes we have to go a little bit back to basics. Learn, what words do you speak over yourself every day? I always say, speak life over yourself every single day. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Like, no one needs to give you permission to be great. So always put your best foot forward, speak life over yourself, and just be the best you. Do you know what I mean? You have something to offer, and you never know what your destiny is meant to be, or you can, help shape your destiny. So just be positive. Like, one thing that I'm not afraid to do is take a positive risk, and if you're going to bet on anyone, bet on yourself, to do for yourself. That's what I would say.
I love that. And that is something that I've had to learn over the last few years, even doing the masters. I remember when our director for public health, Christina Gray, came up to me, and she's someone really inspirational. She's someone who, developed and supported Marvin in his role, our mayor. Yeah. Marvin Rees, and she's someone who gives you those positive, affirmations and say, Moestak, have you done your masters yet in public health? No, right, girl. You're gonna have to jump on this then, because we've got an opportunity. We have got spaces from Public Health England for 2 members of staff to go on the program.
Amazing.
And I remember thinking, public health, what do I know about public health? And she said, you know, and I don't ever want to hear you say that. And even the other day, she said to me, I'm not going to retire until I see you become a consultant in public health. So it's those kind of, it does so much for you. And I didn't even think about becoming a public health consultant until she said that. She's planted a seed.
Speaking life into you.
She spoke life into me. She planted a seed. And now it's like, I can't stop. I'm studying already for those exams. The entry exams for public health consultancy is really difficult. Like, I need to get a tutor for that. But I'm not afraid anymore, because somebody like her has spoken that into me and planted a seed. And it just goes to show how important speaking those positive affirmations into our young people. But also, it's challenging to work in public institutions in our city, like the police force, like the council, like the NHS, when there's not enough people like us. And those people that are there, they are battered, bruised, and dealing with challenges every single day. Like, I know, you know, my role models in the council and colleagues that I look up to who've been there for years are facing lots of challenges. And I've been through a lot of adversity. I'm talking about civil war. I'm talking about, you know, death of, you know, my parents at a young age. And I'm talking about, you know, so displacement, you know, it's so much. But the one thing that I struggled with the most, that I for the first time needed therapy for, was racism and harassment. Being racially harassed at work is awful. But I remember even trying to look for therapy and trying to look for, and not finding anyone, therapist that could even understand. My therapist was white, you know, and didn't understand my trauma, my grief, what happened to me. They couldn't relate. So what I would say is those positive affirmations does so much, and that's the therapy for me that I got from friends and family and loved ones and religion and faith and culture. And I would say we need to instill that in young people as much as we can.
So when is the best time for someone to get in touch with you at the council?
So the best way is through my email. So it's Moestak, Moestak.Hussein, Hussein, @bristol.gov.uk. And I work full-time, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. But on Thursdays, I'm currently on a sort of like work-based degree. So I'm doing my master's in public health. I'm almost finished, but Thursdays is kind of my protected time to be at university and complete my degree, which I should be finished with this year. So yeah, email's best place. I am sometimes on lots of WhatsApp groups, community WhatsApp groups, to kind of share. We have a community champion WhatsApp group where we, within the communities and public health team, we developed that during COVID-19. Like I said to you earlier, you know, we realized that, you know, communities are best place to drive things themselves, whether it be, you know, health messages, whether it be pop-up clinics, whether it be, you know, health checking as well. We're tackling isolation, warm spaces. So we wanted to make sure that we're reachable and not just, you know, email the only way. So I get lots of voice notes on the WhatsApp for those who are not able to use, you know, emails. And so it's about inclusive communication. So I'm happy to share my work number as well. But a lot of people know me on the WhatsApp groups anyway. But email would be the best way to contact me.
Amazing. You do a lot of work in the community. What made you get into this line of work?
You know, I came from a country where we had civil war, and we left quite early, actually, before the civil war, because my father was in political exile. But when I first moved to the Netherlands, and as a child, I remember like 5-6 years into living there, there were like new arrived communities from my country in Somalia. And then we ended up kind of helping them kind of fit into society, show them how to, you know, thrive within the area, but also kind of champion and campaign for our local needs, whether it be with the council, with the police, with the, you know, whether we had hate crime, things like that. So I ended up kind of doing community development work from a very young age, and I enjoyed that very much. And I think that's probably why I've got such a big mouth as well, and I'm quite vocal. but unapologetically. But I think that's the background where my passion first came from. And then I start working with local community organisations. I volunteered initially, then I found a job to work as community development officer. Then I progressed into my career in that way, as a manager and so forth. And then we had the 7/7 bombing that happened, which is the first kind of Islamist terrorist attack that happened on British soil. That was a group of young men from my community, predominantly Muslim. There was also Black, African Caribbean, Asian, Somali, and that really shocked me to my core to see that they orchestrated such a attack in the UK, on the subways in London, on the underground. And the program called Prevent, which was a counterterrorism program, came about to prevent radicalization and tackle the root causes of radicalization and young people joining terrorism and or being exploited. And so I delivered that work locally, and then that's how I sort of like joined the council, because a contract came up to deliver some work for the Southwest within Bristol City Council. So that's how I joined the council. But I remember walking past City Hall, you know, prior to that and thinking, I wonder if there's people like me in that building. And one of the things that really left me when I first joined the council is a councillor that I've known for a long time, who's been really supportive in my work, but also helping communities a lot. Every time she saw me in the corridor, she would just kind of have like this twinkle in her eye of happiness and joy. But she would also kind of remind me and say, you know, the only Somali women in this building working are cleaners. And that really kind of resonated with me. And probably when I questioned if there's ever people like us in that building, it's sad to see that it's the bottom of the workforce, you know, and it's a joy to know that now I'm like middle management, and I'm kind of on that middle tier, which in my opinion is the best, because you get to influence the top, but you also kind of work closely with those lower kind of offices in the council, but also with communities, grassroots. So you kind of end up being everywhere, and quite influential in kind of, you know, budgeting and making sure that funding is equally distributed, you know, fighting for equalities and building equity within that. It's an uphill battle, but it's something that, because of my loud voice and who I am, I do enjoy, and I like making a difference. And I can truly say I wake up every morning and go to bed every night happy and knowing that I'm making a difference in this world. And I think that's where my passion of community development comes from.
Your position in the council shows that representation matters, and I feel like you are best suited to work in the community while working with the council, because your influence and your lived experience can contribute to how you approach the job and the tasks at hand. So to end off, what would you say to the community? What can we do if there was active steps that we can do right now to help mobilize ourselves in order to strengthen our communities so we can have a better society all around? What message would you leave with our audience?
I think the key message for me is collective action. When we are, you know, when communities have one voice and are able to, you know, have a clear aim and kind of objective of what they want to do, you know, I find that agencies, public agencies and institutions in the city tend to listen a lot more. And I think it's really important that, when I say collective, I don't mean that everybody, you know, all the community needs to stand together. I'm talking about, you know, those kind of, if there is an organisation doing really good work, kind of stand behind them, attend the meetings, attend, you know, those, because, you know, your silence means your consensus, isn't it? So, but when you actually have a voice, it means that that will be what is heard. And I think that's what I mean about that collective action, collective voice. For example, we're talking about Temple Quarter Zone at the moment, which is a big regeneration development, a massive one, most funded, I think, at the moment in the UK. There will be a lot of opportunities coming out from that. It's in the centre of the city. It's at the doorstep of Lawrence Hill ward, which is one of the most deprived wards, you know, in the UK. the majority of people that live in that ward are on benefits and in low income. Lots of high-rise flats within that area, lots of inequality. There's an opportunity there for us to, for communities to be part of that development. And, we saw Cabot Circus being built on the doorstep of communities, and no one, had careers and aspirations, and kind of that led to where the community could benefit from that.
Yeah.
What I would say is get involved in those conversations. There's lots of them happening, and I'm going to be honest with you, in the room often, I really struggle to see those grassroots people that I know are doing incredible work. And so why is that disjointment and displacement happening? I know those people are doing incredible work over there, but they're not attending these conversations where decisions are being made at the table. So that partly is to do with those agencies not kind of reaching out the right way.
Yeah.
So the onus is on them, first and foremost. But I think it's really important as well that we are aware, or the communities are, I say we because I see myself as part of the community, but the community is aware where those conversations are happening. How can we be proactive with that? Do we need to have a bulletin? Do we need to have a WhatsApp group where we share all those events and meetings that are happening? So I think when I mean collective action, that's what I mean about being, on top of it, being with it, and try to outsmart really these institutions that often are not working in the right way, the way they should be.
The Black community and ethnic minority communities are a rich part of Bristol's culture, and oftentimes it's very easy for us to seem to be at the back of the line in regards to any sort of progressive steps being made as a city. So I totally agree with you there, and you are most definitely part of our community.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm glad you look on yourself as such,
Absolutely.
because you are, and you do a brilliant job. And lastly, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
But hopefully I'll be finishing my Masters in Public Health very soon, but I've got another kind of long journey to go and go on to become a public health consultant, hopefully. It's another 4 years. It's a really competitive program to get in. There isn't a lot of people like us on those programs or public health consultant in the UK, but that's changing. So I'm a fellow of the Public Health Institute at the moment, and the current senior kind of person in that is a black man, and he's just produced a report on that. So I think for me, we'll be progressing into that. There's a lot of health inequalities that our communities face. I'm talking about even things like diagnosis and not having accessible kind of access to health. For example, testicle cancer is a really big issue in black men. And that awareness needs to be spread, but also things like sickle cell is a big issue in our community, and the inequalities even within the NHS. If someone goes into a hospital with acute pain, the way they treat it is like as if they are someone who's on substance misuse, and they don't even believe the pain. I mean, we're talking about maternity. I know the work that Black mothers in Matters are doing, really important work. And that's really my passion, and I think health is wealth, isn't it? I mean, that's the most precious thing in the world, I think, health. And I think I'm really, really passionate, and I want to strive to work and make a difference in that field next. Public health is community development. Yeah. Community development is public health. So I want to work on specified, health issues within our communities. I think I want to be able to think about doing some consultancy work. I find that we often sell ourselves short, and I'm given lots of ideas and lots of kind of things for free at the moment. So I might want to just bottle that up and brand it and make people pay for it.
I'm just so excited what the future has in store for you.
Thank you.
And I know you're going to do fantastic work, and you've got the full support of Full Circle Docklands, and I just want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that, guys. You are watching Forward Focus with our lovely guest, Moestak Hussein. And if you want to get in touch with Moestak to discuss any of the matters she was talking about today, you'll see her email down below. And please put your thoughts in the comments around the solutions we were discussing. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you for watching.